everybody, your favorite fabulous fairy here, and we're on the Conversation Stash. I have got my friend Abby, and she is going to be telling us some of her crazy-ass ghost stories. Abby, I heard that you have had kind of a little life there in the supernatural.
Yeah, first time I remember actually, like, what happened, I was in 4th grade.
Oh, really?
And, I didn't think anything of it at the time because I thought it was just a dream at first. And then, like, looking back, and even, like, at the time I kind of knew, like, not all of it was a dream. Because I remember kind of waking up, not being able to move.
Okay, so like a sleep paralysis almost kind of thing?
Yeah. But, like, it was dark. I don't know if my eyes were closed or not, but it was like afternoon in the day.
Okay,
like
so this is happening to the day. And were you like being held down or what happened?
I just couldn't move or breathe or anything. It was weird. So like in the dream, just to kind of get some backstory on it, I don't know if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And Tin Man.
Okay.
Tin Man is like this post-apocalyptic Oz. And there's this area called the Field of the Paupe. And it looks like this barren, lifeless field of what could have been like some fruit trees at the time. And like and then I think it's the second Lord of the Rings movie. The guy, when they go to Rohan, and he's like sits next to the king, and he's wearing all black, and he's got that really stringy black hair. This like person creature thing was like a dead ringer for that guy.
Oh, weird.
Like their face shape was a little different, but like the hair, the skin tone, like the way they moved and stood was very similar. And I remember like him attacking me in the dream, and I could feel like claws my back. And then I woke up and it still felt like there were claws in my back. Couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't see. And I just heard this loud, roaring, humming sound in my ears. And I kind of started to, it was like flashing green lights almost, and this like face that like kept coming at me.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't move or breathe or anything. I couldn't do anything, and it was like had his mouth open. It sounded like it was like screaming there, but it was like radiating through my head and my body, and it was freaky. It was weird.
So, have you ever heard of old hag syndrome? So old hag syndrome is basically it was something that basically exactly what you described, and it's this golem looking like creature, or that, you know, kind of old king with the raggedy hair.
It wasn't the king, it was the man that was talking.
Exactly. But that guy, you know, like golemish kind of looking. He had the long stringly hair and the sunken in features and kind of like
kind of shrunk down, but it's like really fast.
Yes, well, there's actually a lot of woodcuts and prints from way back in the day of these demon creatures that pretty much look exactly like what you're described, and they call it the old hag syndrome. So scientists are trying to say that that's the same thing as sleep paralysis, which sleep paralysis is a point where your body is half awake and half asleep, and so your mind is slightly awake, but your body isn't awake, so you can't move, right? But old hag syndrome is something a little bit different. It's basically not like a wraith, but like a creature that comes and it will sit on you and it sucks your energy from you. Sometimes through, sexual energy, like in the way of a succubus or an incubus. Sometimes through the way of fear. Sometimes through whatever. And it's like, they say it's like a form of not possession, but like oppression. Sometimes when that happens. But it's up to you to decide, like, is this an actual thing that's happening to you, or is this like a psychological thing? But there's one way that you can actually get out of it if it ever happens to you again, because I actually have dealt with this kind of stuff too. Since I was a little girl, I had something that would crawl onto my bed, and it would like either grab me by the ankles, or it would lay on my bed, or sometimes it would like touch me. I've had to deal with succubus things, and so I've looked a lot into the old hag syndrome, because I was actually a victim of like what you've gone through. And basically it's and I hate to say a mind over matter situation, because it's not like if you don't mind, it don't matter. It's like you have to take your mind and put your mind at an elevated place. The second you feel that creepiness come into the room and you're aware of it, you have to like take authority over yourself and be like, no, go away. You're not allowed to touch me. You have zero authority of me. And like, even if you can't speak verbally, just being able to say that. And if you have the fear, just like make the conscious effort of no, and like push the fear out. And I'm serious, if you can breathe or whatever and you push it out, it will go, what? What do you mean you're not just going to submit? And it will freaking leave. Because I had a problem with that. And actually, I will get back to your story in just a second, but I actually had a story that I've been trying to like keep out of my mind for a long time. But this house that we're at right now, you know the little bamboo floor? It didn't always used to be bamboo. It was carpet. Carpet from my room to the little bamboo floor to the living room. There was more than one occasion I would wake up in the living room. And I'd wake up in the living room and sometimes I'd find my blanket along the way or whatever. And I'd have like kind of like burn marks on my legs because I had been dragged. And one morning or night or whatever it was, I woke up to the feeling of being pulled off my bed by my damn ankles and dragged down the damn hallway. And I remember being in the dream and the sensation of being pulled along the carpet and trying to rationalize, is this really happening or am I dreaming this? It was freaking horrible. But that was related to me owning a Ouija board, and I got rid of the Ouija board and all that crap stopped happening. So, anyways, yeah, you never know what you're going to freaking get with those guys.
Boards.
Yeah.
No touchy Ouija boards.
So, that was a long-winded, but I just had to say, because I've had that happen too, and it's like, they'll try to convince you it's in your head, but I feel like sometimes it is, and sometimes it's something just trying to get you to convince yourself it's in your head so you don't fight it.
Yeah. It's like at the time, like I knew something. It's like it felt like it was a dream, and I swear to you, like the whole like beginning of it was a dream. I remember going to bed, falling asleep, and it was around like 7 a.m. when I went to bed because I was supposed to be at school for a field trip and I missed the bus, so I had to go back home. So I remember falling back asleep, and the dream was like really interesting. It was like I couldn't even describe it. Like I just remember it really being really interesting, and I remember distinctly this guy was supposed to be there to like help me, and then something happened and he turned on me, and I remember him going behind me, like claws, like knives in my back, and then black and the roaring, and it's like whenever you're startled awake, that's what it was. But then I heard like the roaring in my ears and could see the face, and I remember just like thinking, if you can move, if you just anything, and I just knew in my head and my heart, like if I moved even just this tiniest bit, I would be fine.
Yeah. And
I moved, and everything stopped. Like I could breathe all of a sudden. Like I took like this huge because it felt like being held underwater. Like couldn't breathe at the same time. Like it felt like I could breathe, I could move. Everything was fine. I looked around. My room was like how it is right now, like outside. It was like sunny day, bright, and it's like the dark that I was seeing originally was, you only see that when it's like pitch black at night and your eyes are closed.
So it was literally consuming the light from the room.
Yeah, it was like completely like pitch black. Like my eyes, like I couldn't see anything but this like face and these like weird green lights.
Did that ever happen again, or was it a one-time thing?
That was just a one-time thing. I was in 4th grade. And it's like, I remember that because I, like, went and, like, right after I was like, Mom.
Did you have physical marks on you that your mother could see? Or was that, like, just, you could
like,
feel
I was
them?
still, like, in excruciating, like, my back hurt for a good, like, 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Like, it hurt, like, all day. But she didn't even look at my back.
Oh, okay. So
like,
who knows?
It's like, it was middle of my back. So it's like, who knows? This is, like, where my spine was. It's like, it was, like, right here. And it's like, I could tell you, like, right where it was. And it's, like, still have like memory pain from it almost.
Man, that's crazy. Do you think that something just jumped on you? Do you think something was in the house? Do you think it was something brought on by circumstances going on at the point in time, or was it just like a random incident?
It might have been just a random incident, but I mean, I know my mom is sensitive to stuff too, but she only talks about the not negative things that have happened. So, like, she's like, I see orbs and flashing lights and, like, things have, like, flown off the wall, but it's fine.
Okay, so she's like, well, yeah, Yeah,
Yeah, she's just like, eh,
who cares about that, right?
I've seen this happen. It's fine. I know that they're there.
It's a show for free.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm just like, yeah, I get attacked.
Yeah.
I like get grabbed and moved and my bed shakes at times.
I used to go through that. I mean, there was a point in time where I would go to somebody else's house. I had a girlfriend, not a girl like that, but like she was my girlfriend, and we would go and she'd have a slumber party, and we'd go hang out, and I would be in her bed, and she had a really big bed. And I remember laying there, and we could both starfish, and neither one of us would touch each other. And I was laying in her bed, and I was like, this is the most comfortable bed I've ever been in. It's the biggest bed I've ever been in. And I had the thought, oh, and the best part is nothing's going to bug me tonight. And not even a moment after I thought that, sure enough, something happened. But pretty much as soon as I would have that little feeling of, oh my gosh, I get to sleep and, you know, have peace tonight, something would end up like grabbing my ankle or touching my ankle. And it would happen every single time. And it was like, ha ha ha, no, I'm going to be here anyways. So
just kidding.
Yeah, so I had to go ahead and just like give myself like prayers and be like, you know, I would say like, I rebuke you, or I'm protected. I'd protect myself in light, and I would like cover myself in like a cocoon in my mind's eye, and I would picture that. And sometimes I would have to do, you know, do that for a good 5-10 minutes or longer before I finally would feel like it would go away. Now, like literally, I sleep with stones in my bed. I have a giant Labradorite. I sleep in my bed, and a giant Numite. I was like, you're not coming near me. I was like, I've got my protection.
And honestly, because it happens a lot, like when I realize that there's a lot of turmoil going on in my life.
Okay.
Like the negative energies and stuff, and like the last house that I lived in before, when I moved in with my grandparents, was haunted. We're like positive it was the old man that used to live there. He's a very protective spirit, just like kind of the nights that I would see his shadow, nothing would happen. And I would see his shadow by my bedroom door, and just standing there, and just this really tall man. And my mom was in respiratory therapy for years, and so she's like sees like in her head like a mental image of him too. And in respiratory, they have these phrases. There's the blue bloater and the pink puffer. Pink puffer are people who are usually on the heavier side, that they get pink. They're very like upper body, just like beer bellied, just like very pink cheeks. And the blue bloaters, they're very gaunt and thin, but they have these barrel chests. They're just this really big upper body chests. And she's like, I see this really tall guy who's kind of slumped over, probably has like facial hair, and he's got a really big chest. And it's like, I'm describing the shadow to her, and she's like, yeah, that sounds like the guy. And like we see a lot of like when we watch, he likes Johnny Cash, we're like positive, because I walk the line and we'll see flashes in the house when my stepdad's gone.
So you think it's Johnny Cash, or you
No,
think that
he
guy
likes,
the guy likes? Okay, I thought
likes
I was
Johnny
like, wait a
Cash.
second, you're being
No.
haunted by Johnny Cash
No.
with the beep. The
That'd
beep
be so
said
cool.
sell tickets. There's like
Right?
money to be made in this. Like what the
No,
hell?
no, he's just a fan. We're pretty sure, because there's a part in the movie where Johnny walks out, and it's like the paparazzi's around, and you see the flashing lights from the screen, and you'll see flashes like back behind you, and there's a wall behind you, and it's like, what?
Yeah, how is that happening? No, I understand, and like those orbs and those like shadow people in the vapor, I've seen that my entire life too. That's definitely a thing.
That like consistently happens then. But when I would see this man in my bedroom before I went to sleep, nothing would happen that night. When I didn't, there was this weird thing in my closet. One weird thing over on the corner I had a bookshelf on one side of my room in a corner. It would hang out over there where I had a poster, I had a bookshelf, and some other stuff over there.
So you literally had stuff that like the blue bloater would protect you from the darker things.
Yeah.
So he was probably really a human at one point in time, and the other stuff, who knows what it was, but it was going to see what it could get from you.
And like this thing, like my grandpa is well and alive, but like he has this way that he wakes me up whenever I would go to school.
Sorry, everybody.
And he would grab my leg and like shake it and like, hey, Abby, get up. And if I didn't get up, he would go to my side and he'd grab my side with his hand and he'd shake me like that and he'd say my name. And that would be his way to wake me up. And I haven't like been to my grandparents' house and like maybe like and stayed the night for school night, maybe like 3 years this time. I live with my grandparents now. They're both fine. They're alive. They've never had any real health issues. Like nothing was going on with them. I was woken up in the middle of the night with, I swear to you, it was my grandpa's voice, the hand on my side, and he shook me. He said my name. I was started awake. It was pitch black, middle of the night, but I heard that voice. I felt the handprint, and I after someone touches you, you can still kind of feel like where they touched you.
Mm-hmm.
It was that.
Now, were you going through turmoil during that time? Like, were you needing your grandfather, and then all of a sudden he came to you, or was this just a random event?
It was like a random event. My grandpa is like alive. He's at the house. Like,
oh, your grandpa's not even dead?
No, he's alive.
Oh, you're talking doppelganger. Oh, that's even scarier. Oh, because something's mimicking your grandfather.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Yeah. And it's like, I could have called them and then he would have answered the phone.
That's not okay. That's horrible. So how many times does that happen?
That's happened twice. The first time it was grabbed, and the next time, like, something would shake my leg.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's
how about no?
I think I've only, like, slept at that house, like, twice since I moved out, and it's not even in that room anymore. I'm like, nope. I refuse. Like, it only happens when I sleep in that room. That I used to sleep in. It was my old room. If I, like, laid on one side, there's my closet, and I would see this dark thing, like, cloaked, and it looked like it was holding something, like a baby. And it would, like, if I tried to focus, it looked like a woman, and then if I tried to focus on what it was holding, it looked like something else, but, something, but it was holding a baby, and then I tried to, like, look at the baby, like, really see what the baby was, then it, like, turned into something else, and then the woman's figure was there again.
That's not good. So where was this all happening? Was this more like, is this in the Central Valley, or was this in a different city?
It was, my hometown. It's this little tiny town, in the town where Hobbs is.
Oh, okay. So we're talking like Sanger, California.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you a picture of what's in Sanger, California. First of all, we're in the Central Valley, so we're in the bowl of the valley. We're where all the Plains Indians were, okay? And it was nomadic tribes all around here, everywhere from probably like Bakersfield on down to I don't even know where. But anyways, there used to be buffalo down here. There used to be all kinds of stuff. The Plains Indians, who were nomadic, they would literally travel along with the different buffalo and, the different herds, and they would stalk their prey as it went. So, basically, if you're like, oh, it was an old Indian burial ground, and everybody wants to say something was an old Indian burial ground, it was an old Indian burial ground everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay? Everywhere. Because the way the Plains Indians work is when somebody dies, they just kind of drop grandma off and right there. They either do a funeral pyre, or they put the rocks on top of them and they bury them, or they do something to them right wherever they were. And then when the tribe picks up and leaves, they pick up and leave. And depending on if it was like hard or it was winter or whatever, they might just leave you out. And if the animals ate you, the animals ate you. So the chances of there being Indian bones and things like that around are really, really good. Now, I live in the part where it's really developed, where she's talking about.
Actually, it's a city in that area.
Well, I was going to say, what she's talking about, there is a city there, but it's still not highly developed, like, everywhere. There's a lot of farmland, a lot of agriculture, and things like that. And so I feel like when all of a sudden there's this tribe, or city that pops up, these energies, they can feel and see, and they're like, wait a second, what are you doing here? Because if they're coming back, then maybe they're coming back and they're not sure why there's a city, because they don't know what a city is, like, who's this tribe here, or if it's all residual, then there's that. But the fact that it shook your leg, just like your grandfather did.
And it shook my side that other time.
But also the fact that it's shape-shifting, okay? Because she said it could shape-shift. So that's what leads me to believe it's Indian, because there's that shaman, shape-shifting. Mm-hmm. We have skinwalkers here and all of that. And that's all about shape-shifting. There's a lot of that does. I know I've seen them before, so I mean that's just a maybe. I'm not saying that's what it is. That's just that's my vote on what I think it is.
There's like this weird nondescript figure, like it's a face, but it's not a face. It's kind of like if it was like a cloaked figure, but where the face would be, it's just like swirling energy.
Oh wow!
And that would be right where I would like lay my head, where my nightstand was, like just by my nightstand. So if like the table was my nightstand, it would be here, kind of thing. Like, it was just kind of, like, the face, like, would just, like, sit there and just, like, hi.
I'm pretty much like, no. If something's sitting there with a swirling vortex face and it doesn't even have a face and it's on my nightstand, I'm kicking its ass and I'm kicking it out.
This is before I knew how to take care of them, get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then I had a hag on the other side.
Oh gosh.
And then there was something in the corner that I never really paid attention to. I just knew it was there, and I was like, I got enough to deal with over here, kind of thing.
So what do you mean you had a hag? What is that?
It was this in
because you said you didn't know what old hag syndrome was.
But when you think hags, the
old witch.
Old witch woman with the just very gaunt, decrepit, very so old that their face is lost in wrinkles and just sickly and their face is sunken in. And
so I gotta know though, what caused all this? I mean, obviously you're an empath, so there's that. Do you think that it was just that you're an empath and you've never known how to protect yourself, or did something happen to your family, or was something put on you?
I know whenever my parents were on the verge of arguing, I would notice them more.
Mm-hmm.
They'd just be around, and then there would be a blow up, and they would be around really clear, and they would not let me sleep hardly for a good 2 days, and then they'd kind of fade away, and the old man would be back.
I have a question then. Did this happen anywhere from pre-adolescent to after teen and then die out after you were done being a teenager? Or is it still going on?
I don't live there. When I moved out, it stopped.
Okay.
I've since then had one, I guess you could say, altercation, and I think it was maybe the hag creature thing? Or it was either that or it was the swirling face guy.
Well, I'm definitely not an expert, but also I do know in times of turmoil, if something really upsets you, not you as you, but you as in the metaphorical you, as in me, as in all of us, there's, especially in women, especially in our teens, we have the ability to create poltergeists, and they can manifest in many ways, and a lot of times unpleasant ways, and a lot of times they end up attacking you, or they'll blow up while something is going on, while somebody is fighting. But it's one of those phenomenon things where if something happened and maybe you didn't like it, your energy was so potent and unbridled at that point in time, it could have possibly helped create a tulpa kind of, which a tulpa is basically an energy form that's a thought form that you give so much to that it becomes real. Like Slender Man. Everybody says Slender Man's real. Bloody Mary, yeah. So even though they're not real, people are like, no, I have proof it's real, and then it becomes real. All of a sudden, things happen that slightly can be taken as proof, and it's like, ooh, is this real now? It could be, so... I don't know. That's again. It probably wasn't that, but that's definitely a possibility.
I mean, I remember the first time I started to notice weird stuff happening. It was just I would be awake and just kind of couldn't fall asleep. I would be tossing and turning, lay on my back, and just sometimes I'd just look up, and I'd see lights, green, kind of flashy, not bright, just the color changing nightlights almost, but just kind of that bright. It would be a lot more flashy, almost like strobing.
Now, were these little on their own, or was it big across the wall, or what size was it in an orb?
They're a bunch of little.
Dude, that's fairies.
They range from this
now
big.
Now you guys
to,
are all really
big.
gonna. Now you're all really gonna think I already thought she was nuts, but now I know she's nuts. No, so that was probably fairies or elementals, and they were probably there to try to awaken you and to help protect you because
they were green and red.
Yeah, then that makes totally sense. Actually, I think green and red is normally gnomes, and fairies is pink and blue or green and blue or whatever. But they all kind of they run on color vibrations and different spectrums. Supposedly, I mean, this is somebody with feathers in their hair talking to you, so take my word or don't. But yeah, that to me sounds like fae of some sort, either a gnome or a fairy or something like that. And my thought has, because I saw them too when I was little, and actually I stopped seeing them after my rape. So when I got all that horrible stuff happened, that was the end of that. But up until that point in time, I would see these, and I wouldn't be the only one. I would be able to go outside and be, nighttime, and I'd walk around, and somebody would be like, do you see that? It looks like Christmas lights going off and in the bush. I'm like, really? What colors? And they'd tell me, and I'd be seeing it too. Now I'm like, okay, this person is seeing the same crap I'm seeing, because that's what I had been calling fairies forever. But I feel like they're a protective spirit. It's not a bad thing, because if they were negative, they wouldn't be showing you light and color. They would be showing you darkness and more swirly, nasty face stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, that was like when I first like started to notice like weird stuff going on in the house. And then when I would see them, I would like look over to the door and I'd see the old man. Like, they used to kind of freak me out. And then after I stopped seeing them and the old man, like, my bed would shake. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I'd been woken up from my bed just shaking violently. And it's like, granted, we live in Central Valley and there's a lot of earthquakes, but it's like,
not that
I've
many.
never felt.
Not that many.
I've never felt an earthquake in my entire life.
Yeah,
but this was.
I think
completely,
I maybe have felt one, and it was like I was asleep, so who knows about that?
And it's like you get like almost get excited, like, ooh, I felt an earthquake.
Oh, it was halfway like a vibration. Yeah,
My butt vibrated.
Yeah,
There's an earthquake.
A little bit of back massage going on.
Yeah, no, it's like violently shaking, and like lifting, and like someone physically had to like if like people were on all corners of your bed, lifted it up and like were like doing this. That's what it felt like.
Damn.
And that happened. I couldn't tell you how many times I woken up to that, and like it was still doing it while I was awake. So it's not like.
No, I believe
dreamed
you.
it, like,
I believe
kind of
you.
thing,
All
you know?
it is confirmation for me that I'm not as crazy as I thought I was, or you're as crazy as I am. I was like, jury up on
At that point,
one,
like,
but,
I am fully okay with being as crazy as you are, because you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You're fantastic too.
And to quote Alice in Wonderland, we're all mad here,
No
and
shit
the
on
most
that.
fun people are.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, the best
all
people
the
are.
best people are crazy. No, I'm just kidding. I'll link that music video below. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I'll see. I don't even remember what that girl's name is, but it's a great video. Anyways, so yeah. All right, so that was freaking crazy.
Yeah, that's the stuff I like kind of, I guess you could say, grew up around. Like, had the like biggest like development that I remember. Although, like, there's a section of my life that I don't remember anything, and it was a really like dark, turmoil-filled time in my life, and I really don't remember seeing anything, feeling anything, nothing. It's only after that I started to notice stuff.
Wow. So what about now in your current day and age? Are you experiencing anything, or has there been any developments in your abilities, or?
I actually had talked to a friend's mom, and she said that they're demons, and she said if I feel them, that to sing church songs.
Okay, so she was super fanatical, which, I mean, she might not be wrong sometimes.
Hey, it worked for me.
I was going to say, if it really makes you feel better, but I don't think that every single thing is a demon. I mean, definitely the stuff with the creepy face and whatever, calling it a demon is good as calling it anything else.
Yeah, and, like, I just kind of would sing, like, David Crowder, which he's a fairly popular Christian artist, and, like, the faith thing, like, did this weird thing. Like, it was weird. Like, I couldn't tell you. Like, it, like, the energy, like, got really violent and, like, started to, like, collapse in on itself. And it, like, disappeared, went away.
Well, see, that's the beauty of it. As soon as you feel like you have power, you have power. So if you feel that singing your gospel music or whatever, your David Crowder person or whatever, if you feel that those words are giving you the power, that's all you need. It could be anything. You could be singing your ABCs and you're like, the ABCs scare away ghosts, and you're like, ABCD, and you'll be like, ah! And the thing will freaking run away because it's the power and the intention behind it. And I'm not to say that it's not more because of, it probably has more because it's got Christian behind it or whatever, but it's definitely the faith that's gonna scare it.
It's the faith, not necessarily what it is.
Yeah, you have faith in food. I've got faith in food stamps! Ah! You know, like... So, sorry. Yeah.
I get fed tonight.
Yeah, like, I know about food stamps. It's whatever, right? So, we've all been there once or twice.
But, yeah, it's just, kind of always saw, like, little, not, like, the fairies, necessarily. It was, like, these dark, like, flashy lights, like, you know, like, the whole, like, not, like, purple black lights, but, like, what you think originally when you think black light. Like, that's what I used to see when I was little. Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was out here right now in the daytime, it would be a flash of black within the... Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like, when you look at the sun when you look at the sun too long and you see, like, spots in your eyes. Like, that's what it looked like, but in the dark.
It's darker than the rest of the dark.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And, like, I used to see that when I was, like, really little, and I would go crawl in bed with my mom, And I would still see them, but I felt better because I wasn't alone.
Of course.
And then my mom just stopped letting me sleep with her. Because I was like 4 and 5, and I was like, no, you're not allowed, you're too old now, kind of thing. So, but I remember seeing that when I was really, really little, but I didn't really, like, experience anything else aside from that. And then, like, that stuff happened when I was, it started, I think I was, in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we moved into the house that I had the second to last house that I've lived in, I was from 8th grade till just about a year ago. And, like, it was almost constant after about a month of living there. Like,
oh, wow.
Just weird stuff. And it got worse, like, probably my sophomore or junior year till I almost committed suicide.
Oh, so you were going through turmoil again, and then
Yeah.
This is starting to ramp up. So there's definitely... would you say, in your opinion, that your experiences are definitely coincide with dark things happening around you?
Sometimes.
And are you thinking, like, is it a chicken and the egg situation? Like, what came first, the darkness or the thing? Or did the thing actually come after the darkness?
I kind of think that the thing came before.
It
like,
created the
almost,
darkness?
like, instigated a lot of stuff. Because I would, like, kind of notice more activity, and then, like, the tension in the house would get different, and, like, I could tell, like, a fight was going to happen between my parents.
So do you have any advice for somebody who might be going through that right now, who might be feeling those things or realizing that there's that something else in the air?
Just find something that gives you strength and encourages you to, like, fight back against it. For me, that was church and God and friends, and just, especially whenever things got so bad that I was feeling suicidal, people to spend your day with and to distract you.
And, like, I will say that is one thing. I grew up with a mixed bag of people. I wanted to tell them what my experiences were, but they didn't necessarily believe me. And as a child, I mean, I was born in 88. So I saw the invention of the computer and the invention of, internet and all of this. And there wasn't a lot of belief in ghosts until they came out with thermal imaging and ghost boxes and EVPs and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, wow, there's actually, evidence to back that ghosts exist. And that didn't happen when I was a little kid. So I grew up in the age where if you said something, you were telling a tall tale. You wanted attention. Active imagination. Oh, she's an artist. She just, is coming up with it or making up with it. And it really wasn't. And there's nothing more frustrating as being a little kid and the stuff is actively happening to you and your parents don't believe you, or the person in charge of you doesn't believe you, or worse, you get in trouble for saying that something is happening. And that's definitely what I experienced. And
I experienced the same thing with my mom for a lot of stuff. She's like, yeah, ghosts exist, but they're not going to bother you.
Or that. They would say that. They can't hurt you. And I'd say, well, they did. And then they would say, well, no, it was your imagination or whatever. And
my mom was, like, in denial of, like, that can't happen here. Because she was very much a believer. She's spoke to my first stepfather's mother and helped her move on type of thing. Like, she believes in it and she's experienced it, and she worked in hospitals, so, like, ICU, there's, like,
you can feel it in the room when people pass. So I feel, and then there's 10 pounds that instantly leaves when somebody dies. If somebody dies on a scale, 10 pounds is instantly gone at the moment that person expires. Where did that go? Was that 10 pounds of air? Was that their soul leaving? Like, what is going on with that? So that's just one of those crazy things. Man, it kind of gives me a confirmation to say, wow, I wasn't the only one, though, you know? So, I mean, it sucks that we had to go through this alone, but if you're watching this right now and you're going through that, I would say if the people in your immediate presence don't understand, and they're not people, I think the cat's over there catching a bird.
Yeah, the cat was just chilling on the rock over there, and then, like, I saw it, like, kind of move in the bush, and then, like, after it, like, got loud, I was like, oh.
Nature, everybody. Bye-bye, birdie, or whatever that was. Bye.
It's a great musical, by the way.
Oh, yeah, so, but it's one of those things where if you feel that you're being oppressed, or you feel like this stuff is happening, we're not in a day and age where you have to be alone anymore. There are forums, there are people you can talk to who will believe you. One of my very favorites is called realghoststoriesonline.com. I found them here on YouTube, but you can find them on Stitcher, on iTunes, all over the place. I'm not sponsored, by the way, although if you wanted to. But anyways, no, they're really great. So there are places, and then, you know, sometimes you meet a friend, and a friend's like, oh, I've had the experience too. And for me, it makes me feel better to even know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use stones and things like that for my protection. You guys already know about that. But just knowing that something as simple as a song could help you.
Yeah, just a lot of songs, like... And then after getting so used to it, and, like, even with the singing and stuff, like, I had walked away from my faith for a while. I would just, like, look at them like, y'all really here right now? Can you not? Just really?
Now, I will say that when you're really nonchalant and you're like, I need to sleep. I need you to leave me alone tonight so that I can get some rest. Typically, they'll go, aw.
And they're just like...
And they'll just go away.
Like,
and
they didn't, like, go away. They were still there, and I just kind of was like, all right, whatever.
Just don't bug
And just
me.
ignored me. Like, I was like, do I really have to go through my whole thing tonight to get you to go away? And they're like...
See, I really feel like they do. They come up with that because I do the same thing. I do that here sometimes. I don't even have anything actively at my house, but I live on a ley line, and my back door and my door to my pantry and my door to my washroom and the neighbor's door, and it's like a chain of doors for I don't even know how many houses. This one, and then mine, and then the window, and then it's just like this. So it creates like this portal, is my theory, and things just kind of come through like a train station. They just kind of come through and come out, and some things they walk through and they're like, oh, there's someone sleeping there. Oh, fuck it, I'm not gonna mess with them. And some things are like, oh, there's something, and I'm like, you don't know who you're messing with, and they're like, oh shit, never mind, I'll keep going. But there are some nights where I go to sleep no problems. And actually, that's most nights these times. I like to thank my candles. I like to thank my Himalayan salt rock and my stones and all of that. Even my lavender oil. But there are some times where I feel like something is like, I'm just going to try. And I'm like, can you just not? Really, can you just not?
And they like pout.
They do. I feel like it pouts. It's like, oh, but please, I haven't said it in such a long time.
It's like, it's funny because like the thing with the face like would like, you could tell, like the energy just kind of like...
Because you're not even scared. You're not even trying to, I'm going to put up a fight. They're like, yeah, let's fight. It's like, no, dude, I'm
not in the mood. Just go away.
Just be gone right now.
And, like, the old woman just kind of like...
Yeah, I swear.
And, like, you turn her away, and it's like... Thought so.
No, it is. It's the funniest thing. Like, really, I swear.
And, like, it makes it seem like, really? I was afraid of this for how long?
Yeah, no crap on that, right? I feel like that's ridiculous, but I also feel like it's legit too, because I've experienced it so many times. So, did you have any more ghost stories for me? Or was that pretty much
pretty much the most, like, really, like, intense things that happen? Like, I mean, I'll go to a hospital and it'll feel, like, oppressive, heavy. Going to Hobbs, like, most people will say that the house is haunted, and, like, I felt like it just a very heaviness walking through the house. Just, like, heaviness in certain areas sometimes.
So you're definitely an active empath that can feel the energy no matter where you're at.
And it's just, like, it's usually a darker energy, and it's, like, it just feels heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm an asthmatic, so, like, it almost feels like I'm having an asthma attack. Just, like, the suffocating pressure on your chest. Like, just... Ugh.
Well, if you're ever going to a place that you know is going to have some hard energy, or you feel like might carry some extra energy, even just carrying a piece of regular just quartz crystal on you can definitely help absolve that energy from you. And I have got plenty of videos and stuff like that on crystals and rocks. Labradorite is one of my favorite. If you're somebody who's really looking for protection, it protects your entire aura. That's this one right here. It also is this one right here, my super pretty guy. So, I don't know, there's definitely things that you can do as far as that, but one of my basis ones is, since you're an empath, if you are just even going to go visit even me, before you even walk up to the door, I would cover myself in white light in my mind's eye and create a little barrier for myself. Not because anybody is bad, but just you don't want anything penetrating you, you don't want anything coming home with you, and then, if you can take a shower or a bath when you get home, to kind of wash off the energy of anything that you've come in contact with, be it a place, be it a person, be it an animal that had a bad day, or whatever it is. I always do. And I will notice that the days I do that and then I wake up the next day, I feel more myself and lighter. And like, say I went to, I don't know, the fair or somewhere where there's a lot of people, and you'd think I felt really good the next day because I did something fun the night before. If I didn't wash off everybody's energy, the next day I'm irritable, I'm upset, I don't know why, I feel bogged down, I've just got this oppressiveness on me. But when as soon as I wash it off, like physically wash it off, or if I do a little bit of incense or something, it seems to just clear it away, and it really makes my life just easier. Now, everybody's different, to each their own. You can cleanse yourself with prayer, like she said, or which is psalms and singing. I also like to sing to clear my energy. If I don't sing at least once a week, I am not a happy Shaenna. So definitely to each their own on that. But the main thing is don't let it rule you. You know, that I think that's what you learned at the end, right?
Definitely. The moment you give it the power to have control over you, the moment that little bit of oppression, that little bit of even just annoyance that you might get from when they're just like, start doing stuff, and you're just like, dude, really? Mm-hmm. It turns into 1,000 times worse. Like, I started to like do that, and like the bed stopped shaking. The not being able to breathe at night, certain nights, stopped. Some of them even went away completely.
So you took your power back.
Yeah. Some of the beings just left.
That's epic. That's what we want to hear, right?
Like,
that things are going to work out.
Like, the creepy... There was a couple times, I only saw her a couple times, like, just this creepy, like, detached old woman's face that just kept, like, swirling around my bed.
Well, I also feel
and, like, that went away.
It might not be something different. What it totally could be is the same thing. It's like, oh, the creepy old man doesn't work anymore, and now I'm going to be a face. Well, what if she's afraid of a honey jar? Maybe I'll be that next. Or maybe, you know, I'm a build, you know, or whatever. It's like a floating build. That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious.
That just sounds like a really, like those episodes of SpongeBob.
Yeah, it's like, you need to pay me by Tuesday. It's like, I don't get paid
Mr. Krabs' biggest nightmare.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, I don't want to let go of my scent. So anyways, that's hilarious. But yeah, I do feel like sometimes those things, if you're trying to get rid of them, they're going to be like, well, I'm going to try to put on a different face. Because they're not limited the same way we are. They can just change, you know what I mean? So I feel that sometimes they might, you know, oh, I'm going to try to get her as a face. Oh, she doesn't give a shit still. Well, crap. I'm just going to leave then.
Yeah. And it's like a couple little things, like I just saw like dark shadows, like the shadows went away.
Yeah.
Just like in my bedroom, like they were just like almost like fog.
Oh wow, yeah.
Kind of thing, like around the dark entities, if you want to call them that, in my room. Like the fog subsided, so it was even less scary because then there's like this less dark oppressiveness in the room to like make it feel like that. So it was like when I took the power back, that went away, and then like these things were less creepy.
Well, that's epic. Well, thank you so much for all of your stories. It was epic having you on here. This is Abby the Empath. Anybody who wants to get a hold of her, you can DM me, and she can give you her insights on what she knows about it, or, you know, talk to you about her ghost stories, or if maybe you want to tell her one of yours, then maybe she can help you out.
Or even if you want some emotional support on anything, I'm always a great person to talk to.
Or some emotional support. So if you want to talk to Abby the Empath, let me know. Like I said, DM below. I want to do a real quick shout out to Veronica G. Thank you so much. And to Rocio R. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They're on my $20 Patreon supporter club, so I appreciate you so much. And then roll credits for everybody else on my Patreon right here. Thank you all so much. This has been amazing. You guys helped me out, and I couldn't do it without you. This has been the Conversation Stash, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Later.